the amount of time I wasted in meetings stopped me from being a good marketer because I wasn't able to spend the time thinking.
Okay, welcome back to the Marketing Playbook, presented by Details Interactive. Here, you'll take away 3 game-winning marketing plays every episode to take back to your team. I'm your host, Mark Friedman, and my career has been focused on direct-to-consumer marketing, direct mail, physical retail, and digital commerce. This is episode number 55, and today's guest is Cindy Marshall. Cindy is a longtime industry friend who has worked for a number of retail brands, helping them to drive revenue through various marketing channels. She's now the CEO of Shine Strategy, where she's helping clients with their direct-to-consumer businesses. She also has a book coming out that we talk about, so you'll want to hear all about that. Before we get started, a quick thank you, as always, to Max Brandstetter of the Wild Business Growth Podcast for producing this episode. You can reach him at max@maxpodcasting.com to help bring your podcast to life. Let's open the playbook. Ready, break. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Marketing Playbook podcast. Today, I'm joined by Cindy Marshall. Cindy is an expert in direct-to-consumer marketing and digital commerce. Her career has been focused on driving growth and digital transformation. She combines brand vision with customer and data-driven insights to drive actionable results. Cindy is known as a visionary and an innovative leader who challenges the status quo with her deep functional expertise in digital commerce, direct mail, and retail store traffic generation. She's a servant leader who rolls up her sleeves with a smile on her face and total support for her teams. And she's an author and a longtime friend. Cindy, nice to see you, and thanks for joining the show.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me. I've actually been following your podcast for a while, and I have learned a lot from it. So I'm honored to be part of the Marketing Playbook.
Well, thank you. That's nice of you to say. And, as I tell folks, and the folks that are going to be, part of the show, we try to leave our listeners with 3 key takeaways that they can bring back to their personal lives or their business lives. And then we summarize it at the end. So I'm sure we're going to get more than 3 out of this conversation. So when we got on our Zoom here today, we're, early April. You're just back from Shop Talk conference. So maybe tell, for those who don't know what Shop Talk is, how it was and what it's all about.
Well, Shop Talk is the #1 multi-channel retail conference focused on driving, customer experience, retail store planning, operations, merchandising, marketing, and over 10,000 people. And it was actually the first time that we've been back together for a couple of years. And the reason it's called Shop Talk is because it's all about sharing our ideas and learning from one another. And it was really fascinating. Everybody's dealing with the same issue of Facebook not working, where we're going to go to find new customers, disruptive merchandising, integrative e-commerce experiences are becoming what's most important and relevant today, and that's going to drive the customer experience. But it was just a great event. A lot of really good ideas.
Well, that's good. As I was not there, and I was, watching LinkedIn, I felt like I was the only person that was not there. But good. Glad that everybody, got something out of it. So, one of the things that was interesting as I was prepping, for the show, I saw, although I've known your career, I saw how vast it was. And then I was like, wow, I'm not sure I'm going to start. But like we do with all of these shows, give us some perspective of your upbringing. Was there anything, that as you were growing up might have given some insight into where your career would have taken off?
Yeah, there's a couple things. So I was raised in a very proper family with 3 brothers in Potomac, Maryland. I was actually born in Oregon, but my dad worked for the government. So we were in Potomac, Maryland. But I went to church every Sunday. We traveled a lot, piled in the station wagon. I saw 40 out of the 50 states by the time I was age 16, traveling across the country. And I have 50 cousins on my mom's side. And just having that exposure to a broad, deep, intense family made me a driven person. And I actually got my first job at age 15 at Sears and Roebuck at the Montgomery Mall in Rockville, Maryland. And I was behind the customer service counter at age 15. And it was quite shocking, I remember in the beginning, just hearing everyone's complaints. And then I learned how gratifying it was when you could make a customer happy. And I never really thought that was what I was going to go into. I knew I wanted to do marketing when I went off to college. But anyways, I did go to college. I went to college at age 17. I graduated with a major in business and a minor in psychology. But my family was very driven. You had to go to school, graduate in 4 years, go to college, graduate. And so that's kind of been my push, if you will.
Yeah, interesting. You mentioned, customer service and all. What's your sense of, being in retail for as long as you've had, as long as you have, we've seen lots of iterations of customer service, very great, and brands paying attention to customer service. And then there seemed to be a moment in time when they didn't want to spend the money. They didn't think that the customer service in a department store, for example, was really, worth it. And now in some cases, it seems to be coming back. What do you make of the need and the wants of customer service for consumers?
I actually think it can make or break a brand, and it's critical, in the retail world, being able to serve the customer and know who they are. Like I like just walking into Starbucks and they know who I am and they say hello. I like being able to go into Macy's and they know what I bought in the past. And the brands that I love, like Mint Velvet, knows that's a brand out of the UK, but they know what I bought in the past. Bowden knows what I bought in the past, but not a lot of people are actually curating that and telling me what I should buy next. I do know that there's some new chat services that do that to be the personal shopper, but I really believe that you have to have strong customer service. I mean, working at Vermont Country Store in the late, when was I there? Early, 2000s. Working at Vermont Country Store, we had incredible customer service, and we had a lot of people in seats, and I think they still do. So I believe it's critical.
Yeah, I think. I think it is. So, because you've been in various direct marketing and in retail roles over time, and you've sustained a very long and prosperous career, what's kind of the superpower of Cindy Marshall?
I love this question. We actually asked it on one of the talks I did at Women in Retail Leadership in October, and I had to really think about it. It's kind of like thinking about your why. And my superpower is I'm a connection queen. I actually own that URL and I love connecting people. I love collaborating. I love doing introductions, but that's not what's made me successful in my career. I've become a connection queen because I love to network with people. But I think what's made me successful is I also call myself a player chief. So I can see the big picture and think about where we're going and look at the end result. But then I also roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty. So I'm not afraid of being gritty. And so, like you say, the devil's in the details. I believe it's true. It's critical. I mean, like I'm dealing with 8 different platforms for the Ana Ono brand I'm in today, and looking at them and trying to figure out what's going on with the business. Never had that going on before. But I think that's why people, like to work with me, because I can see the big picture and I can also dive into the details.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I talk to people, and we're trying to, sell a project or do some interim work for them, one of the things that, and it's a fair question, geez, you've had CMO roles, you've been at this, quite a while, are you willing, can you even roll up your sleeves and get into the meat of things? And, I feel like I can and do, and clearly you do as well. So that's great.
Well, and I would just give one bit of advice that you have to stay current and stay ahead of your time, but also stay rooted in execution. And so I see a lot of people that aren't staying current and they're so focused on execution, they're missing the big picture. So.
Yeah, that's a great call. Let's go back to the early 90s, almost a century ago for you and I, and you were part of a business that's still in existence today, J. Jill. You were the director of marketing, and at that time, was the business catalog only?
Yes, it was catalog only. The internet wasn't around in the early 90s. So I was there from 90 to 94. And we had actually, our whole business was focused on women's apparel. And we had 4 active titles and 3 inactive titles. So those were what we called catalog titles, as you probably remember. And I know we met back then at the catalog conferences. But my very first project when I was hired was to create a relational database that had a parent name with the babies underneath, so the 7 different titles. And it taught me a lot about how to segment and reach the right customer at the right time. So you probably wonder, like, why would I have inactive names that I'd go after? Well, part of the philosophy of the gentleman who started the DM management group that owned J. Jill was to leverage data mailing lists in the industry and buy them and then leverage them for the active groups that we were marketing to. And so, this is the simplest form of audience segmentation. But I also learned about knowing who your customer was. So working a lot with the merchants, and they were constantly asking me, will the customer buy this? Is this important to the customer? What do we know about our customer? And so I listened to the customers, and we did a lot of surveys, we did a lot of research, and then we studied their behavior.
What's your guidance for, somebody coming up in a marketing organization, whether it's direct mail, whether it's digital commerce, but they are the marketer, and then, they have partners in merchandising. I was involved in many businesses that, marketing and merchandising were sometimes at odds. You had the marketer saying, geez, if we had better product, we'd perform better. The merchant would say, geez, if you got our products into the hands of the people who wanted to buy it more efficiently, we'd have more sales. So how did you partner with merchandising?
Well, it was actually 3 functional areas: merchandising, the brand, creative design, and then the marketing. At least that's how it was in the catalog world. Now a lot of the brand design is under marketing, but I always made them my partner, and I wanted to learn as much as I could about what was working on the product side, and I wanted to teach them as much as I could about recency, frequency, monetary, so that I could then roll up a big picture on the customer. But it was really just critical to be partners. I mean, I would do top down, they would do top down, I would do bottoms up. We would compare demand planning forecasts, and then we would all sign on the dotted line together and say, we agree that we can drive this much more demand. And then if it doesn't happen, okay, let's work together. I mean, yes, there were times where it was always hard. The merchants would have a difficult time with the marketing team, but I just made it a point to become friends and to learn what I needed to know to help do a better job and drive revenue, because my passion is growth.
Continuing with well-known brand names, there was a stay at LL Bean. It's a business that has been in, I don't know how many years by now they've been in business, but it's still going strong, still well-known. What was your role there?
I was first hired to be the head of loyalty marketing and to run the LL Bean Visa card that was run by MBNA. And literally they had 70,000 members when I started. And within a year, we beat over 1 million members, which was 25% penetration of our 12-month buyer file. And, I led that whole program and partnered with the MBNA team, but I learned a lot. I realized that I was very fortunate because I was in a large organization and had a small team, and I was able to maneuver within the organization successfully because I didn't have to worry about the merchandising and marketing for the catalog. I was running around trying to sell the credit card in the retail stores, sell the credit card via telemarketing, use our database, and create more ways to convert our active buyers. But of course, people loved the credit card because it was offering free shipping, and everybody wanted free shipping in those days. But we were also, at the time that I was there, so that was the first year and a half or so of my career there. And then LL Bean was going through a major transformation, and they brought in the Boston Consulting Group and started doing a brand expansion. And so they had the men's, women's, kids. So they launched LL Kids, they launched LL Home, which are sub-brands, LL Travel. And then I was involved in a new brand called Freeport Studio, which was the first affiliated brand. And I actually wrote the business plan on a weekend with my friend Fran Phillip, who was running the home division. And we wrote the business plan. We hired a team of 18, and we were a strategic business unit, and the first one ever to be off on our own and to, move quickly within a slow moving organization. We actually learned a lot at that time because if you think about the buyer file, we were marketing upscale women's apparel that was more workwear, casual wear. You could still, it was comfortable and casual, but it was something you could wear every day and not on the weekends for the outdoors. We were very successful, we were penetrating and marketing to the women that were only buying for their husbands and their kids and their active wear. And all of a sudden there was competition with the merchandising team within LL Bean. And well, wait, you're marketing to our women and we're cannibalizing. And so the business went from centralized marketing and then to decentralized. We had 7 strategic business units. And then there was no control over who's mailing the best customers. And then it went back to centralized, but it was a big learning period. But it was one of the best companies I ever worked for, one of the best cultures. I just absolutely learned so much.
I'm smiling. Obviously, listeners can't see I'm smiling because so much of what you talk about in your career, I lived through as well. I worked in, a number of the multi, branded catalog businesses, whether it be Hanover Direct or Brylane, ultimately, Amerimark. So, a lot, the constant, it seemed, back and forth between do we want to be decentralized or centralized? What's optimal? No control over who mails whom. Those were all conversations around many a board table. Do you have a direct-to-consumer business? I enjoy connecting with guests on this podcast because it reminds me what I love to do, strategic and tactical consulting for businesses like yours. If you'd like to speak with me about your business and see how you can add a fresh set of eyes to your team, contact me at mark@detailsinteractive.com. Now, let's get back to the marketing playbook. Continuing on from other well-known brands, you spent time also at Ross Simon's, which is a jewelry business, I guess many people might know about. While you were there, multiple channels, right? So digital as well as catalog and retail stores. When you arrived, was it a silo-driven organization, or was there lots of cohesion across the channels?
Well, I'm going to back up because in between LL Bean and Ross Simon's, it was the .com boom. And I was like, okay, I'm not moving into the digital world here at LL Bean. I'm being left behind. So here's my mind. I've got to continue to be a forward thinker and stay on top of the trends. So I followed a .com and went to aziba.com, which was way ahead of its time. It was handcrafted goods from around the world. It was a broad assortment, but narrow depth of inventory. I learned it was like getting an MBA in 12 months in digital. And it was actually that made me successful at Ross Simon's because I was able to learn how to do email marketing was just launching. Affiliates were just launching. I was buying homepages and negotiating with AOL and MSN for display ads. And because of that, then I was smart enough with all the direct marketing knowledge that I had when I went to Ross Simon's, I was blown away on their dependency on catalog. And they were very focused on the retail stores, but there was a different product assortment in the stores. And we only had 17 stores when I was there. But I had to really think about the customers that were buying from the stores, the customers that were buying from the catalog, and then how to build the digital channel. And I think I shifted it from probably 12% to over 35 or 40% digital and pretty quickly. And then we pulled back dependency on catalog. But we had this wonderful tool that Abacus, you will remember, the Channel View tool. And I absolutely love Channel View because Channel View was an attribution tool. It's still around today. I know other clients of mine actually still use it. But I was able to see if I could segment out customers around the Warwick, Rhode Island store and send them a postcard. I could see if they could if I drove them into the store for an event on Wednesday and how many sales I got in the next 3 days. And then if I was to do some marketing to them online, I could see the match back on the email. I could see the match back on the catalog. And so we were ahead of our times on the attribution, I think, back then. But, I used that for the attribution and it was siloed to answer your question. Yes, there was some siloed, but very quickly the team adopted, and I also remember launching on Amazon. We launched 100,000 products on Amazon, and it was way in the early days before anybody else had done that. But it was a great experience, a lot of fun. Spent a good 3 years there.
That's great. When we talk about what you're doing now, I'm sure the attribution, or as I like to say, the A word, will come back up again. But before we talk about that, one of the, I think the interesting, aspects of your career is that you've been on, the brand side for, a long time, and you've also been on the provider side. So talk a little bit about, that first step you took from brand to provider, and how it felt for you, and what apprehension maybe you had or didn't have in making that kind of a jump.
Well, I actually I did a small stint before Merkle at American List Council. It was before I joined LL Bean. When I left Appleseeds, and I did a small stint, wanted to live in Marblehead with my former husband at the time. And I opened up an office and realized how hard it was to be on my own and to take out the trash and to handle all the networking and to go out and sell. And I realized that wasn't me. And I wanted to be back in a brand, which is then why after a couple months, I realized it wasn't for me. And I went back and I just, hit the ground running to try to find a brand role. And I never, ever thought that I would ever go to the service side or the vendor side. And then Merkle came along, and they had a division called Cognitive Data, which was a database marketing company that had 200 multi-channel retailers in it. And I had an opportunity to be the chief marketing officer for that division, which was part of the larger company, Merkle. I thought that I was grooming myself to be a CEO. I had run marketing all my career, marketing and branding, and I did a little bit of merchandising where I led that, but I felt like I needed to see inside other brands and what they were doing. So that was the crux of why I moved and went to the vendor side.
And were you looking for something different to round out your career? Was it the fact that you thought you were grooming yourself for CEO and wanted to see, how the dark side lives?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. I wanted to become a CEO, but I'll say I failed at that role because it turned out to be a sales position. And I wasn't good at selling. I didn't want to sell. I mean, I've been selling to boards, but I realized I wanted to be back in the brand world, and I wanted to be driving the growth and making the decisions. And I missed leading a team. And so you may go, well, then why are you running Shine Strategy? And Shine Strategy, the business that I run today, it's 10 years old, and I am an extension of the marketing team. So I'm a part of the team. I'm either the chief marketing officer, the VP of marketing. It doesn't matter what the title is, but I'm helping driving performance growth. And that to me is what I like. I used to get bored 2 to 3 years into a job. After I fixed everything I could, then I'd move on. And I realized doing the consulting is actually the right thing for me. And, one of the biggest lessons I will tell the listeners here is the amount of time I wasted in meetings stopped me from being a good marketer because I wasn't able to spend the time thinking. And what I found consulting is that I didn't waste time in meetings. I was able to sit back and think. And so I would recommend that anybody listening, you block out Fridays, no meeting day, and have thinking, or block out half of Monday or half of Friday morning, whatever it is, but make sure you have that thinking time. Because to me, that's the biggest thing that I've learned. And, I love it. I don't think they're sides. I think we're partners.
Well, that's good. And you could do this interview by yourself, because my next set of questions was around the business that you have today. You mentioned it's Shine Strategy. You're a consultant, but a business partner to lots of different brands. Why does somebody come to you? Why do those brands come to Shine Strategy, Cindy, Marshall? What is it that they're missing that they need you for?
They're missing knowing what else is happening, being able to see inside multiple brands, being able to know what's new, what's shiny, what's working, what's not working. We've evolved into being chief marketing officers for hire. I have subcontractors that work for me. And some of them are focused on digital marketing. Some of them are focused on putting up customer data platforms. We've actually gotten very smart in that space only because brands have asked us. I've got a need. I don't understand this whole customer data platform, and this is my database structure. Can you help me? So I started doing marketplace assessments 5 years ago on the customer data platform space. And now it's moving so fast, the technology, and I just have to stay up with it. But I think people are coming to shine because we're making a difference and we're driving growth, and we're identifying what I do: red light, green light, yellow light on all the media programs. So what's working, what's not working, and then what are you missing? And I do roadmap planning. So I love that part. Like, I love looking at 2 years worth of data in the past and then forecasting 3 years out, but doing it holistically. So what's the customer experience? And what are the numbers telling me? So I mean, we're passionate about customer segmentation and just driving growth. I mean, that's what gets me up every day.
There's so many challenges that brands have nowadays. If you had to, characterize, the two or three that seem to keep coming up time and time again for brands, and you talked about CDPs and how to organize your data and how to do personalization and segmentation. What else resonates with you as their key challenges that they face?
Well, the attribution issue is a big one. The attribution issue, channels that used to work really well and aren't working well anymore. The changing algorithms within Google. I mean, shopping's going away in July, and we've got to learn what Performance Max is. Like, a lot of people don't even know that. And it's like, okay, my shopping channel is doing really well. Well, guess what? If you're not testing Performance Max now, but I think just the whole customer acquisition is the biggest problem. And there's so much competition out there. Websites are I heard at Shop Talk, there's 500 new websites launched daily. 500 new websites launched daily around the world. I mean, that's a lot. So we're competing for wallet share. We're competing for relevancy. We're competing just to be top of the inbox. And I think that what's happened is that there is this whole, the Klaviyo Shopify combination has become so popular, and people think that that's their customer database, but they have no idea that, oh, these people have opted out and I can reach them another way. And so just bringing those insights and being able to identify customer retention rates and looking at recency, frequency, monetary, and product, and teaching folks. I mean, some of it's very basic, but others who have already doing a lot, trying to find new ways to build your brand is critical.
You talked about the shiny new object a little bit. You mentioned that. What's the shiny new object that you're bringing to your clients these days and saying, wow, this is the new feature and function that you really have to consider?
One of the shiny new objects, I mean, it's not new, it's been around, but it's the whole email identification, the ability to identify. It's the ID graphs, the ability to collapse Cindy Marshall from 5 devices and 5 email addresses into one person, and identify her where she is and reach her and do the one-to-one personalization. I mean, that's the thing that really helping brands get their triggers and journeys to work well, and then to convert. And I mean, attentive, this whole SMS is huge and new, but it's also going to run its course, and people are getting tired of it. But yes, how much incremental is it? I mean, right now, the incrementality, that's the other thing I bring to my clients, is how much truly incremental is it, and looking at last click and first click, and looking at attribution. But I would say the whole email identification, the ability to mail more and increase your customer journeys.
One of your clients, and hopefully I'm going to get this pronounced right, Anna Ono. Is that how you?
It's Anna Ono. So the founder's name is Dana Dona Free. She dropped the double D free. So it's okay. Anna Ono.
Okay, Anna Ono. And you introduced Dana to me recently, so thank you for doing that. So tell us about that business, and it's also a bit personal for you as well.
It is. I actually met Dana through Women in Retail Leadership Slack channel. She was looking for marketing, and I was reading the Slack, and I said, I can help you, when I saw what she was doing. So Dana's business is a boob inclusive lingerie. One boob, two boobs, no boobs, new boobs. We support you any way we can. And what I love about it is that Dana she was the first one to design a post-mastectomy bra. And I didn't have that when I went through my breast cancer. I'm 10 years cancer-free, knock on wood. And there wasn't anything like this when I was going through it. And to be able to pay it forward and help anybody going through, a mastectomy or a lumpectomy or radiation, and to know that, you're going to have lopsided breasts, or somebody nursing even, her product is inclusive, and I just love it. I'm passionate about it. It's very comfortable, and I just love what she's doing, giving back.
Yeah, I checked out the site. It's really well done. I was very impressed, and it's a business that I had not heard of. So I also referenced early in the show that you're an author. So tell us the name of the book, when it's coming out, and what it's about.
Yes. So my book is called "Sorry About Your Diagnosis, You're Fired," because I actually did lose my job in the middle of my chemo, and I have to say that I've always been a glass half full person, but going through an 18-month journey that I did in fighting breast cancer really rocked my confidence. And I was brought up with a lot of confidence and strength, but the ability to get through that, it was a lot of people, the outpouring of love. I learned so much. The doctors, I remember them telling me, "You're going to be a changed woman for the better." And I looked at them like, "You're crazy." I mean, losing my hair, I hated it. It was my worst day. But I had 7 wigs. I decided to go, all right, I'm going to make this fun. Like, who do I want to be today? I would put on a different wig for each day. I remember running an AMOA board meeting, and I was meeting the Postmaster General of the United States. And I was wearing one wig that was my cute, short, and sassy one, but I wasn't sure that was the right wig. So at the end of the board meeting, I whipped off my wig and I showed everybody my bald head in the boardroom. There's 15 men and women, they're like shocked. Their eyes are like, whoa. And I said, "What's the matter? I just don't know what wig to wear." And I'm holding up my wig. So I tried them on and I made them part of the process. And what I found is it was okay to talk about it. Some people didn't want to talk about it. And so I started writing this book in 2013. I was diagnosed in 2011 with the most aggressive kind of cancer. I started writing the book in 2013. I couldn't get back to it. And I finally said, "You're going to be 10 years cancer-free. You have a story to tell." Not only did I lose my job, I then 9 months later got hit by a snowboarder and broke my humerus, and I have a plate and 9 screws holding my right shoulder together. And that was worse than my bilateral mastectomy. But you know what? I'm here. I'm alive. I wake up every day. I'm breathing. I'll never forget doing a business course with Vermont Country Store. And I remember the Orbis team was there. It was the Bell leadership. They told us about you could lose your house, lose your job, get divorced, get sick with cancer, but you're still going to wake up the next day and you're going to survive. And I used to think that was absolutely crazy, but you know what? It's true, because as humans, we're resilient and we do survive. And so, like, my book is about my story. There's a lot of humor and grit and fun stuff in it, but it's also a master class. The sub heading is a story of courage, tenacity, love, and fragility. And so I kind of boil it down to those 4 words and the learnings that I got from it. So I'm trying to pay it forward.
It sounds fantastic. Best of luck with it. When will it come out?
It's coming out the end of April. I'm officially launching it on April 27th at Women in Retail Leadership. I'm doing a little keynote speech about it. And that was 10 years ago exactly from my last chemo. So it's quite ironic how that happens.
And quickly, tell us about Women in Retail Leadership for those that might not know about that.
So Women in Retail Leadership is an exclusive group of the top C-level positions of women that are running retail brands, and a place for us to share, learn, connect, help one another grow as a leader, being a woman. And it's just so inspiring and such a phenomenal group of women. And we're very compassionate to one another. And open to sharing. So it's been a great group, and yeah, I'm excited about launching it for this powerful group. But the summit's coming up in Miami, and there'll be 500 wonderful, powerful women.
So we're down to the end of the show. We do this 2-minute drill. I'll ask you 7 questions, 1 or 2 word quick answers. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. A brand that you admire or that inspires you.
So this was the hardest. This is very hard for me. Like I have a hard time because I'm a huge shopper. So I like the ones that are relevant to me in the moment. So this week it was actually Cardi's glasses. I'm not wearing them now, but I love them, and they popped up and were really exciting to me. Last week it was Farm Girl flowers. And so it just depends on who's hitting me at the moment. And so I can't just pick one.
Okay. Favorite app on your phone?
Clearly WhatsApp. I'm on it every day. It's how I communicate with my partner, Craig.
Last website other than Amazon that you shopped from?
Mint Velvet. It's a UK brand.
Something that you're not good at, but that you wish that you were?
All right. So I'm German descent. I always wish that I could do the Irish jig well. I have tried. I look silly. I really should take Irish jig dancing lessons. That's what I want to do.
Well, maybe when you go on your book tour and you get down to Miami, when you get up to do the keynote, you start off with the Irish jig. How about that?
That'd be great.
Charitable organization that you're passionate about?
Anything breast cancer related, but I actually have a local organization that I'm on the board of, the Southern Vermont Arts Center, and I really like giving back to them and helping the local community.
And if you had one superpower, what would it be?
Understanding the Google algorithm.
That over the Facebook algorithm. Interesting. Okay. And other than family, what's your most prized possession?
My health.
Very good. Hey, this was fantastic, Cindy. It's nice to see you again. I know we've chatted on email and all. I know you've been a good listener of the show and appreciate that. Where can people reach out to you on social media?
LinkedIn is probably the best place. And my email is cindy@shine-strategy.com.
Okay. Well, stay well. You look great. Stay healthy. And we'll be catching up in the near term, I'm sure.
Thank you, Mark. It's great to see you and an honor to be part of your podcast.
Well, thank you. That's it. Today's game ball goes to Cindy Marshall for coming on the Marketing Playbook. To me, today's 3 game-winning marketing plays were as follows. Number 1, block out some time for think time. We all spend so much time in meetings that we have no time to actually think about the work that we need to do and how we can make our businesses stronger. So, less meeting time and more think time. Number 2, do you have a superpower? What is it? If you do have one, make sure that you're leveraging the skills that you believe set you apart from others. If you do not feel like you have one, see what drives you and try and cultivate your own superpower. Try and be known for the strengths that you bring to the table. Number 3, stay current. In most of our jobs, especially in retail and digital commerce, the landscape is changing very quickly. It's important to attend conferences and network with colleagues so that you can maintain your knowledge about the current drivers of your industry. Thank you, Playbook marketers, for listening to another episode. If you want to check out more pages of the Marketing Playbook, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast spot and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter @DetailsInteract and learn more at detailsinteractive.com. Until next time, the devil is in the details.